Hi, I'm Becky May, and we're living in quite difficult times, I would say. Life is pretty hardcore, pretty stressful. I think many of us are suffering mental health, physically, all kinds of reasons, unprecedented, crazy times. So, yoga can be a real resource. Any kind of techniques that help relax, restore, bring yourself back to your center. Like, I don't know about you, but I just feel the energies of this time really confusing and crazy, and it's hard to find the way through. It's hard to know what's right, what's wrong. Is there even a right or wrong? So I'm really out there, and so using our yoga practice to come back to what we know to be true in this moment, our breath, our physical sensations, our feelings, our thoughts. So all about presence, all about being with what is. So it's a short, kind of restorative yin style practice. The only things you really need are a firm pillow. But if you have the luxury of a yoga bolster, that would be amazing. And you could also do with a yoga brick. I don't have mine with me today. I'm going to use my firm pillow instead of a brick. So we're going to just move between folding forwards and folding back in various different positions and hold each one for at least 3 minutes. A nice long hold in each posture. So we start in sometimes called the butterfly posture in yin, or tirasana in yang. So this tirasana is diamond pose. So as you look down, you should see a diamond. The soles of the feet are together, but they're not all the way in. It's not Baddha Konasana. There's this kind of longer shape. Various things you can do here. You could have your firm pillow if you know you're quite open, and there might be a way to rest the head, or with the bolster between the legs and the end of the bolster resting on your brick or your pillow on your feet. If this is available to you, this can be really nice, but if you're tight in the hips and there's nowhere near you're going to get there without straining, just put your hands wherever you can comfortably on the legs and just drop the head. If you feel like the bottom of the ankles are pressing into the floor uncomfortably, just put a blanket or extra padding below your feet. So it's always good to take a bit of time to get set up, so that we can relax into the posture. So find your version of this. If you're using supports, just make sure you really trust them, that they're not going to go anywhere, so that you can just start to really relax into the support of your props if you're using them. If not, just, as I say, drop the head between the upper arms. So choose your position and just take some moments to drop in, just relaxing the shoulders. Also, if you need padding on the outer thighs, I meant to say that, you could use extra pillows, extra blankets. If you're leaning on your bolster, you could turn your head to the side like me, and in about a minute or so I'm going to get us to change the direction if you've got your face turned to the side. So just checking your relaxing shoulders, face, back, belly. It can take time for the body to feel it can drop into a shape, for the first one especially. So there might be a bit of resistance to letting go to begin with, but just observing that. We're just dealing with what is. So what is could be tightness, resistance. We don't want pain. If what is pain, then come back up higher. You could even be vertical, just gently drawing the chin in. We're still getting the opening in the lower back, hips. And then just go to your breath. You don't have to deeply breathe or change the breath, but just be with the breath. Best way to come to present moment awareness is just through being present to the breath. Just watching it, the natural in and outflow of the breath is something we can depend on. In these crazy times, you can keep coming back to the breath. You can close the eyes, that feels good. So this is a simple sequence, and I'm just kind of teaching it in this class, and we're only going to stay in each posture, as I say, a few minutes, but you could stay here a lot longer. If you get really comfy, you could stay a lot longer once you know the sequence. It's simple, there's not many postures. You could do it on your own, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you've got time for. Change your head the other way if you've turned the head. Keep present to the breath, to the physical sensations of the body. Check tension's not creeping in. We might initially have remembered to let go of tension in the shoulders, but maybe the shoulders have crept up to the ears just through habitual patterning. Maybe a particularly stressful thought loops just entered your head and you're frowning, gritting your teeth. Relax the face, slacken the jaw. Everything's okay. In this moment, everything's okay. There's so much we can't control at the moment. We can't know. So we can come to our mat and know that here things are okay. As long as we're paying attention, no pain. There's maybe 3 or 4 more mindful breaths. You might find just by becoming mindful of the breath they naturally start to deepen, but they don't need to. So we're going to think about coming up, because we've been here for a while. Come up slowly, so if you've got your head turned to the side, face the bolster first, so you don't crimp the neck, crack the neck, and just slowly push yourself up to seated. You can keep the bolster set up the same if you, as I say, this pillow could be a brick, a yoga brick, but you can also use a firm pillow. We're going to, if you don't have a bolster, just have your pillow, hopefully a firmish pillow, your pillow lying along the mat. But if you do have a nice firm bolster, you can prop the end up on your firm pillow or your brick, and we're going to turn and face the other way. Okay, so you've either got your pillow on the floor or your bolster, but either way it's going to be touching your sacrum, it's going to be touching the lower back just above the buttocks, and we're going to lie our back down either our firm bolster or our pillow. And if it doesn't feel comfortable for any reason, just lie on your back. Now, up to you, different leg options here. I would put the palms up. This encourages this passive opening of the chest and a relaxation of the shoulders. But for the legs, you could do what I'm doing now. I've just got my feet on the floor about hip distance apart, knees pointing up to the ceiling. But you could take your feet a little bit wider and let the inner knees rest together. This is really nice for opening the outer hips and the lower back. But you could also, this can feel really nice for some people, take a bit like what we just did actually, but this time the heels closer to the groin, Supta Baddha Konasana. And again, you might want your pillows or blankets on the outer hips. So again, just taking the time to establish the posture so that you can melt into it. And this is another one where you could quite, if you find the right posture and you feel supported, you could quite easily stay here for 10 minutes, and I highly recommend that. This is more moving into the realms of restorative yoga. We're not going to do that today, but I definitely recommend it, because it really just gives the time for the body to start to unwind tension. It takes 10 minutes, to start for the body to feel safe and relax and know that, okay, nothing's happening. I don't need to be braced for action. A lot of us are existing in fight and flight chronically. So it takes a while to let that go and start to drop into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is when we start to relax and restore and renew. So giving this posture time is great. We'll just stay here for another couple of minutes. Eyes obviously can be closed, or if you're keeping them open, just have a very soft gaze. Try not to kind of stare and open the eyes wide. And also keep that jaw relaxed, always checking in, are we gritting the teeth? It's kind of the thing that we do without realising it. As soon as we feel any stress or resistance, we grit the teeth. And then tension trickles down through the body from that, down the neck, down the back, the arms. So slacken the jaw, maybe even opening it wide and then letting the jaw settle. Eyes relaxed in their sockets. And staying with the breath. A nice thing to do to keep with the breath if it doesn't feel too much effort. We don't want to feel like we're really efforting here. This is all about letting go. But if it doesn't feel like any effort, if it feels just easy and nice, you could do like an internal mantra as you breathe. And what this does is keep the mind in the present moment. It stops it going off into all its future worries and past regrets, and it brings it to what is. So you could just simply say as you inhale, I am inhaling, As you exhale, I'm exhaling. And this is real. This is what is. And I'm sorry if you can hear the chainsaw in the background. This is the microcosm of life at the moment. We do our best to internalise and come into ourselves, and there's always something trying to pull us off, pull us out of our balance. But with practice, we learn to keep our awareness inwards at will and not be so swayed and pulled and pushed around by the whims and the craziness of life. So staying with your internal mantra, your internal breath awareness, just feeling the body start to relax and let go. Feeling the sense of relaxation and peace spreading through the body as we come to stillness, the gift of stillness. Just a few more breaths. And again, think about moving before you do. Different ways to get out of this, especially if you've been here 10 minutes. Sometimes it's better to just roll to the side, just roll off your bolster and then press up from there. Or if you feel strong, you can just use your hands to come straight up. But just bear in mind that taxes the neck and the core muscles a little bit more. Keep your setup the same, so you've either got your firm pillow on the floor, and if you've got two pillows, you could have your firm pillow and then another pillow underneath to kind of approximate what I'm doing here with the bolster. We're going to come, so we just did a front opener, we're going to come back into the back opener. So we're in a wide knee child's pose. If you need extra padding, you could take a blanket underneath your hips, between the hips and the heels. And then we just kind of straddle the bolster, or you could just be using your pillow. It might be, you kind of fold it in half, and it might work to just fold over the pillow. It's a bit different. Probably need to turn the head to the side. Not quite as restorative as having this gradient. This is what makes it more restorative. So, but you could just do a normal child's pose, widening child's pose without any props. So big toes touching, knees wide, hips sinking. This isn't appropriate for your knees, of course. Don't do it. Maybe lie on your back and hug the knees into the chest so there's less pressure, but it's the same opening. So hands on the floor. Often in these more relaxing sequences, I like to turn the hands up. It's like that mudra of surrender, receptivity, that yin energy of receptivity, passivity, opening to what is with acceptance. And these times we live in are a constant practice of that, living in uncertainty and just opening, staying open amidst all that uncertainty. It's so easy to close down, separate and defend. How do we stay open? How do we stay connected to each other? And there's so many different factions, different opinions, different versions. It's all about the heart. You know, everybody is totally entitled to having their own opinion and leading their life exactly how it feels right for them. And yet we can still stay connected, you know. With recognition, we're all in this together. We're all connected. Underneath all of the madness, it sounds like a cliche, but it's true. There's only love. If you've got your head turned to one side, turning it the other way. And that's really why I want to start putting out more yoga videos at this time, because I've been asking this question, what can I do? People are suffering, I'm suffering, and so much fear and judgment and hate and separatism, and what can I do? I was like, well, I don't want to do anything unless it's about bringing people together and bringing people back to themselves and back to their heart, where we remember that we're all connected. Heart wisdom is all about that knowing of interconnectivity. And it doesn't matter what our worldview is, what we believe, we can still love each other. on some level of our being. And this to me is what yoga's all about. Union. Okay, so just thinking about coming out. If the head is turned to the side, turn to face forward, use the hands, press yourself up. So again, we're going to come into a front opener. So we're going to come to lie on our bellies. You might want to take an extra blanket. I've got a nice rug today, but if you just had a normal yoga mat, it can be nice to put an extra blanket on, especially if you've got protruding hip bones. And we're just going to come into a simple Sphinx. So elbows underneath the shoulders, or maybe in front, resting on the lower ribs as well. You can have a gap between the feet. Try to relax the buttocks. And we just need the barest amount of activation of the muscles of the back to prevent this, to prevent the ears collapsing into the shoulders, and that creates a lot of tension. So it's like somebody's pulling on the top of the head with a piece of string, and we feel this sense of space between the vertebrae, extension through the spine. And at the same time, we need a little bit of energy or activation of the muscles to draw the shoulder blades together. It's very subtle. If I wasn't doing anything, shoulder tips would be forward, my shoulder blades are kind of falling apart and slack, but I'm activating the muscles that squeeze them together and draw them down the spine. This draws the shoulder tips back and opens the front of the chest. So compared to the other postures, this is a bit more active. We won't stay here as long. Breathe as deeply as you can into the front of the chest. So it is all about the heart, and we're opening the front of the heart and the back of the heart with this practice. I only just realised. I was really thinking about heart wisdom today, and how that's my truth. If I want to throw anything into the mix, it's about heart wisdom. But I only just realised that that's why I chose this practice. I like the way a part of us is much more wise than our conscious part. Okay, so deep breaths into the chest, into the heart. Creating space for your heart, a big, beautiful heart. Just about 3 more breaths. See if you can deepen the breath in this one. And at the end of your next exhale, just press through the hands gently and take the elbows wide so that you can just lay the front spine on the floor, vertebrae by vertebrae. You can take the forehead onto the back of the hands, or turn the cheek to the side, or maybe bring the hands to the side, cheek to the side there, let the shoulders relax. So whatever's best for you, and just take some resting breaths here. Really letting the back relax, the shoulders relax. If you need to, you can just wobble the hips a little bit to release the lower back, or windscreen wiper the knees, so help release the lower back. And then when you're ready, we're going to move into our penultimate pose. So again, a little bit of effort here. We need to push back up. So hands underneath the shoulders, press yourself back up. It's our kind of core strength workout today. And we're going to come into a forward fold. So you've got your brick or your pillow and possibly your bolster. So various things you can do. You can elevate the hips on a blanket or a pillow. You can take your bolster or your pillow underneath the knees. So we're taking a really kind of easy version of the forward fold today, not wanting to overstretch. Or if you had a blanket, you could take your blanket underneath, and you could, if you're more open, you could use the bolster on the top of the legs again, maybe with the brick or the pillow at the far end to prop it up. And once again, we've got this kind of support. This is really only for those who are quite open in the hips. Otherwise, we might just be on the blanket, bolster under the knees, hands just on the floor, maybe palms up, and just dropping the head. You know, we could be close to upright. It doesn't matter. We're just gently opening up the energy channels at the back of the body, and especially the back of the heart. So choose your position. If you've got the bolster like I have, turn the head to the side, and I'll tell you again halfway through when we relax to move at the other side. So you can kind of let the legs be more or less relaxed. You know, we don't need to be super active, but try not to let them completely externally rotate. Try and have just that bare amount of effort to keep them more or less together. Again, this is a posture you could stay in for 10 minutes easily. It's, not for everyone. For some people it's not a very comfortable posture at all. But if you're quite comfortable, it does well to stay here longer for the same reason. It's a forward folding introspective posture that really allows the nervous system to settle and calm down and kind of switch to parasympathetic nervous system. So just turn your head the other way. Turn the head. Sorry, I'm just laughing at the chainsaw. It's nervous laughter, because I'm hoping it doesn't detract from your experience. So I'll stop drawing attention to it. Okay, so we're going to think about coming up. Again, if you've got your head turned to one side, bring it to face forward first. Press through the hands to bring yourself to upright. And then that's it. We've got one more posture, Shavasana. And we're done. We're cooked. So, Shavasana, let it be a really nice supported Shavasana. This is a good time to get a blanket. If it's cold in any way, I'm going to use my blanket underneath my neck actually. Underneath the head, and to make sure the back of my neck is supported. So, you can do whatever you like here. I wouldn't recommend a high support under the head so that you're more like this, to try and keep the curve of the spine neutral. But a flat cushion under the head and maybe something in that little gap at the back of the neck can feel quite nice. Bolster under the knees can feel nice, especially if you've got any lower back issues. So I'm going to just play around with the position of my blanket to make sure it's under my head, and maybe just kind of fold in the bottom edge so it creates a little ridge that's going to go so the back of my head and neck feels supported. If I had another blanket, I'd put it on top. And Shavasana, we have the hands facing up, slightly away from the body. We have the feet just wider than hip distance apart, and the feet flopping out to the side. And we let go, and yawning is a good sign that we're letting go of tension and we've moved some energy. So let yourself yawn, let yourself make any sound that you feel you want to make, a noisy yawn or a noisy sigh, a big breath in and a big sighing breath out. All good signs of energy being moved and releasing tension. And just allow yourself to drop into that deep, still place within you that is always there, no matter what craziness is going on outside. A mad chainsaw person relentlessly chainsawing, or whatever. It's representative of the external madness that we're finding ourselves having to live within at the moment, and find our inner resources. And yoga helps us practice connecting to that deep, still place of non-judgment, of acceptance, of wisdom, of strength, of love. So just go in, let the body relax. See how deeply internal you can go here. I'm just going to stop talking for the last couple of minutes. just again, if you've got time, you could stay here for as long as you have time for. The longer the better. But just starting to think about coming it out, so deepening the breath. Starting to bring small movements back. The feet to the hands, maybe a bit of a stretch. To reawaken and invigorate the body, arms overhead, pressing into the heels and the toes. Maybe you might want to just bring the knees into the chest. Just give yourself a hug. We all need a hug at the moment, and always. Okay, so when you're ready, we'll come to seated. So unless you're staying longer, roll to the side, push yourself up. Return to seated, and I always recommend that conscious closing of the class. It can just take a second, but just that symbolic, maybe palms together, bowing the head, just gratitude, and that sense of honouring yourself and that deep, still place within you that we practice coming back to time and time again. Our inner resource, our inner wisdom, inner strength, inner peace. Thank you, yogis, for practicing this evening. May yoga be a resource for you through these crazy times, and if I can be of any further assistance, you can check out my website fromyoga.com, and I teach all kinds of online classes and courses, and so you can do lots more yoga. Okay. Namaste. Hope to see you again soon.